What's up, guys? This is Cashren here with another Doctor Who video. It's been quite some time and I've been missing it, so I decided I'm going to go ahead and make one. Now, before we get into the topic of the day, there's something I really wanted to talk about regarding Doctor Who content. So, if you've watched a few of my videos, especially the Guild Wars lore video, and I've got the Star Wars video coming up for next Thursday. One thing you're going to notice is that I added gameplay to the videos, which kind of gives the video a little bit more flair and it makes it a little bit more intriguing. Now, the issue with Doctor Who is that there's not a lot of games for it, so it's very hard to make content that is very, where it's just very grindy and I can just grind for a good hour and then use that as footage. I can't do that with many of the Doctor Who games that are out there. So the big issue is that I want there to be something in the background as I talk about this sort of thing, but I can't really come up with any good ideas. So if you have a good idea, please leave it down in the comments. Let me know what you think. And we're going to go on to the topic of the day, which is going to be the first female Doctor. Now, this was actually brought up by somebody in Gallifrey Rising that I've been talking to about this, and they sent me a link about ideas for a female Doctor being right after Capaldi. So they said, what are your thoughts on this? I'd like to know. And I would say, first off, there are really, after doing, I haven't really said anything about this because I've been doing research. I want to make sure that I do a video that's very, it has some substance to it, if you will. And so I wanted to get my facts straight. And really, from reading on about this, there are really only three camps of people that I really have found, very dominant camps. There's always exceptions. There's all kinds of different groups of people with opinions, but there are mainly three dominant camps that I've found. And I'm going to name them traditional Whovian, centric Whovian, and progressive Whovian. So let's start with the traditional Whovian. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you just a statement that really defines this camp of people. Okay, so the traditional Whovian would say something to the effect of the Doctor represents a fatherly figure for the show as a teacher and as a protector. So the traditional Whovian would argue that the reason why a female Doctor would be a bad idea is because the Doctor as a character really represents fatherly love and a teacher and a protector sort of figure, which I understand. I totally get that. In fact, I would agree with that. That is what the Doctor represents. Now, the next group would be the centric Whovian, which would say something to the effect of, it doesn't matter who the Doctor is the Doctor. Essentially, they believe that it doesn't matter if, the Doctor's a man, a woman, an alien, it doesn't matter, because when it comes down to it, the Doctor's the Doctor, and that's all that matters. And then your third group, the progressive Whovian, would say something to the effect of Michelle Gomez. Nuff said, guys. Which basically means that they don't see an issue with it because, if you look at how Michelle Gomez has played the mistress, I don't think anybody, if we had some of the past masters, if you said, I wonder what a female master would be like, I don't think anyone would ever say, oh, that'd be a great idea. I think most people would say that would be a terrible idea. And look how well Gomez has pulled it off. She did such a good job, and I love her. I think she's probably my favorite master. And so this group would basically, they're basically under the assumption that because Michelle Gomez made a good master, then if you got a female doctor lead, then that would be a good female doctor. But it depends on who you actually put in that role. Who's going to be the actress who plays it? And most of the rumor is saying that it's going to be Emma Watson, and I think that'd be a great choice. The reason why is because she's got kind of this. If you watched Harry Potter and you saw her in that, Hermione has this smartass. I'm better than everyone else. I'm smarter than everyone else. She's got kind of like this dominant feel to her, saying that she's better than everybody else at everything because she's smarter and she works hard. And if you think about it, that is essentially what the Doctor is like. Yes, there's a lot more to him than that, but I could also see how the Doctor and a character like Hermione Granger would actually fit together very well. So I would say that if you got Emma Watson to play the Doctor, I think that would be a very good fit. Because she's already played a role that is very similar in a way that we could actually see what she would be like as a Doctor. Now, another thing that a lot of people in the progressive Whovian group would say is that they would like to see the Doctor having kind of like this lesbian relationship with Bill or some other female companion. And although I am super pro-gay and, all of that, I don't think it's good to give the Doctor a relationship. I will say this right now, that I am totally for gay rights, but at the same time, I hated the fact that you had the Doctor having this relationship with Rose. I hated that romantic interest. I hated it. And the reason why is because the Doctor is supposed to be objective as much as possible. Now, his feelings do get in the way, but the Doctor has always kept himself at arm's length of distance away from relationship feelings towards his companions. And we got it with Rose. We got it with, not really with Amy, but you could kind of see it at the beginning when, with Matt Smith, they were kind of hinting at it, and it really jibed me the wrong way. It's kind of like what the traditional Whovian would say, is that he's kind of like a fatherly figure, and when a companion is trying to hit on the Doctor, it feels like they're hitting on their dad. That's like the best way I could describe it. That's the kind of cringe worthiness I get from that. It's like you're hitting on someone who's pretty much your father, and it kind of makes me. I don't like the thought about it. It's one of those situations where I just don't like the idea. The idea to me sounds like just a terrible idea, because the Doctor should never have that much of romantic interest with a companion. Now, to be fair, the Doctor has always had wives, like, Elizabeth I and River Song. So in that camp, yeah, he has had romantic interest. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the Doctor's not allowed to be totally cold-hearted. It's just the companion is more of a pet. It's like a dog wanting to get with their master in a really sad and disgusting way. That's how I really think about it. I think that's better than the father analogy I gave. But yeah, it's kind of like a dog wanting to marry their master, their human caretaker. And to me, I don't want to go back to that era where, yeah, we had awesome doctors, but every single time we get this new companion, they had a crush on the Doctor. And I don't want to go back to that era. I would rather forget about that. And, there were so many other companions that I could name that did that, but we'd be here all day if I did that. And so, with all that said, there's my side of things, and I have 2 words for you. Verity Lambert. If you don't know who Verity Lambert is, she was the very first female producer for the BBC, to my knowledge. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know and correct me. But she, in a very real way, you could call her the mother of Doctor Who, pretty much. And if you know anything about Doctor Who's history, Doctor Who started out very, very poorly. The first episode that ever aired did not do very well. It was only until the second episode, right when they got to the Daleks, that the show started picking up. But the show started off on a horrible streak. And so what Verity did was she tried to find a way to spice up the show, because the show was doing really, really terrible in ratings. And back then the BBC would just cut shit if it wasn't doing well, they would just take it off air. So, as you would in that business, if it's not doing well, if it's not selling units, if people aren't watching, then you gotta cut it and put something else there. That's business. So, Verity Lambert came up with the idea of, alright, well, we need something to really push the show going forward, and that was when we were introduced to the Daleks for the first time. Now, the people who ran the shots back then hated the idea of the Daleks. Absolutely hated them. And pretty much, if you ever watched the documentary, or I forget what it's called, the movie that came out about Verity Lambert actually producing Doctor Who, I will leave an annotation, or while I'm editing, I will put the name of the show. You guys need, or of the movie. You guys need to watch that. That was amazing. I loved it. But she came up with the idea of the Daleks, or I believe she did. I don't quote me on that if I'm wrong. And her neck was pretty much, to actually quote the actual movie, her neck was on the chopping block at this point. If the Daleks had not done well, we would probably not have watched Doctor Who. So Verity Lambert had this mindset that I've kind of adopted for all of my fandoms, which is whatever makes the fandom or the show a hit, whatever makes the show survive, is what we should do. So, what is my side of things with that said? My side of things is that the show needs something to spice it up. And we've had a few things here and there that really have spiced it up and made the show just very new. I mean, there's a reason why Doctor Who came back. There's a reason why, from the moment we had Eccleston, that we've gotten all the way to Capaldi. There is something here that people love and that people cherish. So, obviously, there was something that sparked interest again. And in order for the show to keep producing more episodes, we need more of that. Now, one thing that has always I don't know what word to use in this situation, but one thing that has always been brought to my attention whenever I watch the show is that people don't really understand the whole purpose of the regeneration process. Resonation, what really resonated to me, that was the word I was looking for. Why does the Doctor always have to regenerate at some point? And in my opinion, it's because it brings more life to the show. It gives us a refreshing look onto the show. So although we have lost our old Doctor, here is a whole new chapter to the story. And to me, that was really what Matt Smith's little speech was about, was that although he is changing faces, he will never forget the day that he was that Doctor. And I'm about to tear up. It's just reciting that. So the whole point is that although the Doctor is changing faces, he's still going to be the Doctor. And you need to spice up the show. So with the idea of a female doctor, that would spice things up to a whole nother degree. And here's the reason why. We have had this cookie cutter appearance of the Doctor. Now, if you know anything about Time Lords, and I have a Time Lord lore video up that you can watch to really, if you need a little Kickstarter or a refresher, you can watch that. But one thing about Time Lords is they don't always look human, okay? If you've always noticed, whenever the previous Doctors have regenerated, they've always been like looking around, being like, I got legs, I got hair, oh my god, I got a nose. That's because you're not always going to be a human. Sometimes the regeneration is incredibly random, but in other cases, it can be super precise. For example, the second Doctor was forced into a body. He was not given a choice for what he was going to look like because he was so picky. So the Time Lords basically said, okay, fuck this. We gave you a choice. You didn't like the options, so now we're just going to force you into a body. And it was totally against his will, and he didn't have a choice in what he was going to look like. So that is a case where the Doctor hasn't had a choice in the matter. Now, if you look at with Smith, when he regenerated into Capaldi, that very first episode with Capaldi, he, a full episode, not when he actually regenerated, he was saying to himself, he was asking himself, why did I give myself this face? What was I trying to tell myself? And so you have this situation where the Doctor can be totally on point with what he wanted to look like, so that way he could actually give a message out to the next Doctor. But then you could also have it where the Doctor has no choice at all what he's going to look like. And then if you think about it, you have the Master who decided he wasn't even going to regenerate at all. So there's a lot of control and uncontrollable urges that the Time Lords can have. So the question is, could a Time Lord turn into another species? Could they have the look of, a whole nother alien race? And this is why I am actually excited for the idea of a female Doctor. Because if you could go from being gender fluid, you can open it up to having a kind of like a race fluidity, or a species fluidity, if you will, where we could see the Doctor having, all kinds of different faces. You could go through the entire, all these different alien species that we have, just this bestiary of, all kinds of monsters, and you could have the Doctor turn into those. And to me, that is just this fantastic idea. Now, will it ever come true? I don't think so. I don't think that, that we'll ever get that far, because it may turn people off to the idea of it. But having like a Silurian Doctor would be, in my opinion, amazing. I would love that. But it's a question of how far could you push it. Now that we're at the point where we could say, well, what about a female Doctor? It's after we've hit that point, why not ask ourselves, well, why not take it one step further? Because if you take it one more step past gender, you're getting into a whole realm where the show becomes endless, and you could do anything with it. You could have him turn into a Jadoon if you wanted to. I don't think that would happen, but you could. A Jadoon that could talk English and not, just the Jadoonian language. You could have something like that happen. And to me, that brings out a whole nother variety to the show, and it would spice it up to the point of just amazing awe, in my opinion. I would love to hit that point where we have expanded our view of what the Doctor really is, because really the doctor isn't really a person. The doctor is an idea. He's an idea that the show carries on, and the idea is never cowardly, never do anything in a cowardly manner, never do something out of spite, never be a horrible person, and always try to be the best version of yourself. And that is why we watch this show. So, honestly, I think all three groups have a point. But I think the centric Whovian has more of a point where it doesn't fucking matter. Because we're still going to love the Doctor because he's the Doctor. Doesn't matter what his face looks like. Because he is still going to be our Doctor. And he's going to do the same things that all the other Doctors have done. And that's save lives and help crying children. That is who we love. And when it comes down to it, that is why we keep watching Doctor Who. Whether you like it or not, at some point we are going to reach this point where we're going to have to say, well, why not take it another notch up? Now, today it's a female Doctor. 5 years from now, it could be a Silurian Doctor. It could be all kinds of different Doctors. Hell, I mean, maybe a Cyberman Doctor? I don't know. But this, we're getting in, at that point, we're getting into some fan fiction. But you could come up with so many interesting ideas, interesting concepts with it. And, you know, that would just, it would amaze me if we ever got to that point. At this point, I'm just rambling on, so I'm going to stop it here. I pretty much said my piece on the subject. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And please comment. You know what? In fact, let's add a question that I want to see down in the comments. What would be an interesting type of Doctor you would like to see? Gender, okay? Race, and all kinds of other stuff you would like to see. I want to see what you guys have to say and whether or not you think it would do well in the show. As always, guys, thank you for watching. I love you to bits. And please remember to subscribe. Hit that sexy subscribe button, guys. Until the next video, remember to stay excellent to each other.